Here, did I go?
No, you're new.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April meeting of the Clintonville Area Commission. Commissioner Bolton has an excused absence, so I'm stepping in. And for all who care to, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. We've had one small addition to the agenda for the zoning commission, and that is to revisit 430 East Canoa. We voted on it, I think, last month, so we will have a short presentation on that. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there it is. We will begin with district updates. Commissioner Morris.
Mark Morris, District 6. I have two updates. One is I attended or participated in the housing workshop organized for the city by the Neighborhood Design Center to learn more about the problems that people face getting accessible affordable housing. That was very informative. And the other thing I want to mention is that there was another crash at D-Land and North Broadway. So this is every month I see a scene like this. This time there were 3 cars involved. One car that ended up the sidewalk. This is a busy area with multiple restaurants, and every month there's a crash. So I submitted a 311 request to ask for safety measures, a light, a roundabout, or something. It's the same spot where a couple months earlier 2 city lights were run over. It's the same spot where a house or a car went into a house. So it's ridiculous. And it's totally unnecessary. It's all by design. There's schools, there's Bishop Patterson, there's Whetstone, there's Indian Springs. It's just totally unnecessary. So that's my update for this week. So thank you, Paul, for showing me.
Commissioner Miller.
Drew Miller, District 9, no report.
Commissioner Saucer.
Angela Saucer, District 4. I attended the zoning training for phase 2 this week, and I had neighbors that live by Webster Park report that there's illegal food dumping occurring there, nature preserve. So they did contact the city. City came out and put it up, but they really want to sign it. They're helping us out.
Thanks.
Commissioner Hively, District 8, nothing to report.
All about it, District 1. Couple things. Lights have been out in my district from Esmond to the railroad tracks, from Glen Echo Ravine up to probably Broadway. I've made a 311 request. I reached out to the Department of Neighborhoods, and there's a backlog apparently with the city after that windstorm that we had. So the lights are still out, and that's both street and alley lights. So I know that other people in that area have called 311 too. So the other is the South Clintonville Block Watch, or District 1, is having a cleanup on April 25th. We're meeting at Tulane and High, right where the Cup building is, and bags and stuff will be provided. You can find more information on it through the Clintonville Block Watch Facebook page. South Clintonville Block Watch. Thanks. Mr. Platt.
Most of my updates, I think, will come through in the sequence of other things on the agenda. The only other additional thing is there's been requests in my neighborhood to have a Clintonville-wide kind of like newsletter update thing. So I'm going to talk with the Spotlight and discuss how we can like best appropriately do that in a way that's meaningful for the community.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Norma with District 2. So we've got construction on West North Broadway, so we had a neighbor in the 240 block that has difficulty accessing the entrance and exit to their driveway from West North Broadway. Stacy Mattel has been instrumental in working with the engineer on that particular project to see what we can do for them. And Stacy was once again instrumental. We had a neighbor that was concerned about the butchering of live animals in another neighbor's backyard. So Stacy took a little bit to just find what that protocol was. So just to recap in general, it's generally legal. You do need to have an enclosed structure shielded from public view when butchering the animal. Meat is only for personal use, and of course there are waste disposal and sanitary regulations. So I passed that along to the neighbor, so she's going to be in contact if we don't have a resolution. And then good news is we have a crew of kids on Brighton who regularly once a week get their little sticks and they clean up rubbish either on Kroger, on West North Broadway, or down by the river. And they would like to start a competition with other kids in other districts to clean up too. So I said I'll get up a green team to start that.
Thanks, Commissioner Wyman.
Mike Wyman, District 7, nothing.
Thanks, everybody. Commissioner Mortz, approval of past minutes.
I shared two sets of minutes, one from our last meeting in March and one from our special meeting of the Rotary Club. And I think I heard no feedback from you. I appreciate the good recommendation. Otherwise, I didn't get any feedback.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. So moved. Second? All in favor? Aye. Treasurer report, Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, Stacy, thank you for sending the spreadsheet update. I did have a question. I didn't see in the minutes, but at the February meeting, we discussed website updates. And I think Commissioner Bolton was going to circulate a quote or an estimate maybe from a contact who was going to update our websites. I haven't seen that yet. We do have till April 30th, March 31st.
Well, technically, yes, April 30th, but in order to process the payment, make sure it goes through and all of that stuff before then.
Before April 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in case.
She also probably needs to contact me because I'm the one with the passwords to the Clintonville.ac domain.
Okay.
And there's a lot of work for her to do quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, we will get the quote put together. I can reach out to Chair Bolton and make sure that that's circulated. So we do have So one thing that wasn't on that list was the domain registration that we did. And I think that was in January, February.
That's when the reimbursement that's coming to you.
Yes, I submitted a reimbursement form and now I'm waiting to see if the auditor will bless it.
Okay, great.
Yes, it has been submitted. It's around $30.
From 30.
Yeah.
28.98.
Okay.
So after that reimbursement, we will have $1,393.09 left before April.
I think it was, we agreed like $800, but we need the official estimate again. Great, thanks. We'll move on to updates from the city of Columbus.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacy Biddle. I'm the liaison of the Department of Neighborhoods. Sorry, I think I sent this around 4 o'clock today. It's been a busy couple of weeks. The sun comes out and then residents tend to see a lot of things that need to be addressed, and that's fine. Again, to piggyback on what you said, just make sure you spend your money. Send any purchases. Try to do it. Because the process is, I don't actually hold your card. I have to go check it out and then do whatever I got to do to spend. I have to go somewhere to go buy it or do it online. Make sure that you have a tax exempt account with that the company that you're purchasing through. So just give me just a little, just like a week before the end of the month, that we should be fine in order to make sure that your funds are spent by the turn of the fiscal year. National Night Out grants are now open. The event date is August 4th, and the deadline for applications are May 1st. There are links in the update email that I sent. National Night Out, it's really cool. Community groups can do it. You can apply, you can apply for money to get food, drinks, or whatever. And it's really just a community event, and you bring the police come, the fire department come, and it's just really a nice thing. And a community can plan whatever during that time, just to have neighbors hang out with first responders. I did put together a lovely area commission handbook. Very good. If you'd like to print a copy, let me know. I think this is long overdue, quite honestly. But it's everything. It's very helpful for new and maybe some not older but experienced commissioners to just kind of read up on all the recommendations and all the best practices. But if you turn to the back, you can see a best practices example of the Clintonville Area Commission's agenda, as well as their minutes. So they asked for some good examples, and I knew that you guys always do a good job, so you are featured in this handbook. So if you want a hard copy, just let me know. You do have it digitally in your email. Let's see. And then I shared the 2026 Neighborhood Social Work Resource List. I sent you the link to that. Currently, they're only available in English, but they are working on non-English copies as well. And then once they have them translated, I will send them along. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that Suzanne was out this week. Is there anyone else from the city of Columbus other than zoning? Okay. We're ready. Well, that is scheduled already. Update, now we have an update from the Clintonville Beachwood Community Resource Center with Stephanie Baker.
All right, good evening. Thanks everyone for having me here and letting me take a couple minutes just to talk about what we are experiencing at CRC. I was here last year talking about needs we were experiencing at the food pantry and what we were seeing, and surprise, we still have those needs. Everyone was incredibly generous as folks were experiencing disruption in their SNAP benefits. We had a lot of really generous donations over the holidays. People are always incredibly generous, and we have gotten through all of that food. That food is now gone. We purchase our food from Mid-Ohio Food Collective. We don't get it for free, and so we are seeing those costs go up in what we are purchasing. And it's interesting when we look at the need and what folks are experiencing when they're coming in. I think it's probably not shocking that we're seeing lots of new folks coming to the pantry for the first time. So since January, we've seen 469 new families to our food pantry, which is significant to us just based on the size of the pantry. So just want to encourage folks to get the word out there about what we are seeing and what current needs are. Of course, financial donations are always incredibly helpful, but food donations are also really greatly needed as well. Protein is usually the biggest need that we see in the food pantry when we're trying to get food. Also, just getting the word out that we do always have volunteer needs, particularly at the food pantry. We have it set up. You can go to our website. We have 2-hour shifts. So we have a morning shift where folks come and help get the pantry set up, and then there's 2 shifts throughout the afternoon when the pantry is open as well. And then just one more update for folks. CRC, for as long as I've been around, we've been providing farmers market coupons to older adults. We have a senior supportive services program, and it's a really cool program where folks apply, they complete an application, you obviously have to meet income eligibility, and then they get a gift card to be able to shop at the Clintonville Farmers Market. So that is a program that we are currently looking to fund. So if anyone is interested or you know folks that might be interested, it costs $50 per holder adopt to get them access, and that's straight pass through from CRC. We're just able to work with the farmers market and give the gift cards for holder adults. That is all I have, but does anybody have any questions?
Stephanie, if I were to want to donate something, is it better for you if I give you cash or canned goods?
Yeah, so cash is better, right? It gives us more flexibility with how we spend it. Also, we do purchase food, but it is at still at discounted rates.
Do your other questions?
What's the easiest way to make a monetary donation?
Online, but we will happily take cash or check at the table.
Website.
So, yeah. Anybody else?
From the audience have questions?
Yeah.
If, for volunteering purposes?
Yes.
How do you go about that?
So that is on our website as well. We have a volunteer tab where we list both the opportunities, and then it has the application to sign up. You can also call or email. Allie Hartung is our volunteer coordinator, and she's really great at getting in touch with people. She's just part-time, so morning's gonna be the best time.
Okay, and what's the website?
ClintonvilleCRC.org.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Any other questions? Great, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Okay, now on our agenda is the Columbus zoning.
Hi Commissioners, everybody. I'm Mark Travillis. I'm with the City Columbus Development Department. I'm the Planning Division Administrator. Just got about a 5-minute update for you. As you know, we're continuing to update the city's 70-year-old zoning code. And in February, I was here for a quick update. In March, we met with every area commission chair and zoning chair. Thank you, Stephen, and I believe your planning chair. And we met with all the zoning chairs and area commission chairs individually throughout the city. We did a webinar. Appreciate you sitting in. And I saw Mark and mentioned, I think you're getting an email where we'll get you to the location. You can watch it if you wanted to. We have it recorded. So we did that outreach in March, and now in April, we're coming back out in order to check back in again. What we've been doing here over the last few weeks is we have been earnestly working with project consultants in order to craft the new zoning districts that we expect to unveil in the upcoming months. So there'll be a map, and it'll have recommended zoning districts. These zoning districts are consistent with what is in the Columbus growth strategy and the zoning project goals generally. They will include the 6 existing zoning districts that were put into place in phase 1. And we expect that there's probably going to be about 9 new zoning districts as part of phase 2. These will be additional mixed-use districts. We think there's going to be 3 new mixed-use districts, a 3-story, a 4-story, and one that'll be a mix of industrial and residential uses. You won't expect to see anything like that here proposed in Clintonville. It's more some of the more older industrial neighborhoods of the city, south side, north central, west side. There'll be business and institutional campus districts, probably 3 of them. One that will address large campus districts such as Ohio State, Nationwide Children's Hospital, and then others for smaller employment-focused districts. One that probably will be a 5 to 7-story district, and another 7 to 10-story employment-focused district. And then there'll be industrial districts, 3 new ones: urban industrial, light industrial, heavy industrial districts. I don't believe there are any industrial districts that will be proposed for the Clintonville area. I believe the major one, as we've discussed in previous meetings, will be business and institutional campus that will be recommended and applied towards the deaf and blind school site. Is, I think, the large majority of what you expect to see in Clintonville, and perhaps some additional corners where we will see new mixed-use districts proposed. So we are working towards, I've got a hard copy, I'll ask you to take one and pass it along. So we're working towards having this information put together, reading from the consultants. On the left side of this is the winter-spring engagement that we're more or less wrapping up now. And on the right side is that summer. It's probably more spring-summer that you could expect to see. As soon as we have the material ready, the proposed text and the proposed map, It'll be published, and it'll kick off a 60-day comment period. There'll also be a survey that will then be sent out at the time it's published. We're going to establish a gallery downtown, which we did in phase 1, so any and everybody is welcome there. We'll do another webinar at that time. There'll be public hearings. We'll do stakeholder interviews. In May, I know we're going to do additional one-on-ones with the commission chairs and zoning chairs and planning chairs. And then you'll likely be receive outreach for specialized events at the gallery, like Area Commission Night, or if you want to organize a group to come on down. And then there'll be more public hearings that we expect City Council to hold. So that's the quick update about what's coming up. As always, if you're not on the email list now, anybody please, zoningupdate@columbus.gov, send us a message. We'll put you on the list and you'll get all information that comes out. You can always go to the website. You can follow us on social media. We won't be here in May then, but we'll be back in June. So we're kind of doing every other month. In the meantime, reach out to any of us with any questions or comments. So that's the quick update. Happy to answer any questions.
Do commissioners have questions?
So in Northland, a 216-unit luxury apartment was jammed down their throats. Is that something we're going to see more of through zoning?
Well, zoning is a rezoning of the city, and then projects come as they come, and depending what they are, they may or may not require a rezoning. If they do, then there's the public process. I mean, zoning in and of itself will not necessarily facilitate an individual project. It will, guide development in a manner consistent with, long-standing policies and design guidelines. One of the biggest things it's doing is putting in place design guidelines that we've heard positive support for over decades, so if somebody's coming in and they're doing a proposal and it's consistent with the guidelines and the zoning code, then we would expect that it would facilitate that project. If it needs a variance, it'll have to go through the process. I think the site you're talking about, if I'm thinking right, was up sort of in the far north, Rocky Fork area. That will be, we would consider that phase 3 when we will tackle the rest of the city. So sites like that are really not part of our current phase, but stay tuned.
That was up at Central College and Lee.
Right. No, I'm familiar.
I know I've raised this with you before, so there was some push polling done by Zonin on Facebook. Would you be willing to bring the results and the questions? Because I think the public would be wise to understand what kind of questions are being paid for by taxpayer dollars to run, and then to basically validate outcomes that have already been decided. And so it would be great if the public could see those results, and also like who designed it, because it's like the level of how unethical it was, is something that would be important, I think, for public discussion.
Happy to share. I'm sending myself an email to put something together and get back to you all on that.
Okay, and I understand you're not going to be here this next month. That's totally fine. But if you could come with that information, with like an actual report out, because like the level of how questionable that survey was is something that I think is worth the public discussion.
I'll bring something back to you all. Absolutely.
Any other commissioner questions? Questions from the public?
I have a question. Just for clarity, phase 1 was High Street, some of the major corridors, correct? Mm-hmm. Phase 2 was the Strategic Growth Initiative, which was all residential.
Phase 2 is industrial areas, employment areas, and some additional mixed-use corridors.
Is that this, what you're talking about tonight?
This is an update on phase 2, yes.
So are you done with the residential areas, or is that?
We have not done the residential areas. Residential areas will be phase 3 which we'll do after phase 2. We don't know exactly when, but it'll be the last phase of Zone N.
So what was the strategic growth initiative? That's when you sort of.
The Columbus Growth Strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
That was our land use planning exercise that we did to form a policy basis for phase 2. When we go to phase 3, we'll have a Columbus Growth Strategy update in order to have land use recommendations for the residential areas. That is then the policy basis for the zoning action, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of gobbledygook, but that's what the purpose of the growth strategy. It's a land use planning exercise. Yep, good question, thank you.
Are we working on a timeline here? Are you trying to get this put together for council to vote on before the summer recess?
No, we are probably looking at, we want to have something to council by, it's all tentative, but probably fall, could be late summer, could be fall, September, October is kind of our best guess.
Because to have, to visit the place downtown in the summertime when people aren't around, I think the last time, what wasn't it in fall, the display thing downtown?
It was
it
summertime. I'm looking at
summertime?
one of my former colleagues. Spring, thank you. Springtime. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it'll be time. I mean, it'll be it'll be open for the full 60 days of the public comment,
Gotcha.
which is all previous to any submission to City Council. So the whole intent of the gallery is to have a one-stop shop where anybody can come and see the full story, and we'll be there. You can schedule appointments with planners. We'll walk you through the whole thing. You want to nerd out on zoning code, come on down. I mean, we'll meet you up here too for that matter, but that's kind of a handy place where we'll have giant maps on the wall. We'll have touch screen. You can fill out surveys with us, the whole thing.
Is Whetstone High School part of this?
I don't believe, no. Public city schools are not part of this current phase. They will be part of the next phase.
No, it's that question.
I was going to look at our variance that we have to, when we get that point, see if you want the schools to have to pay to put up banners.
Oh, the graphics. Yeah.
But that's just, put that on your.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm sure I'm a bit late to the party on this, and I don't know that I want to nerd out on zoning, but you've said that this is updating a 70-year-old zoning plan, or is there foundationally, what is this about? Is it about making Columbus more business friendly? What is at the foundation of this whole initiative? And what could we expect as residents to see changing? What is this about? Other than it's really old and we want to update it,
Well, I would encourage anybody to go to the Zone In website if you haven't been there, because there's a lot of information that kind of gets to, it's a long answer. I'll give you some teases, and if you Google Zone In Columbus, you'll find the site. And including the project goals for Zone In overall. I don't have them memorized. There's 4 or 5. In effect, the zoning code, zoning reform is happening throughout the country. And what's happening is that zoning codes were put in place 70 plus years ago, and there hadn't been a comprehensive update since. Zoning does not drive development. It doesn't create, we don't come out with bulldozers as a result of the zoning code, but it does guide development. So the priorities 70 years ago and the needs 70 years ago are different than the needs and priorities that we have today. And at its worst, a zoning code 70 years ago intentionally separated people, and some would argue was racist. So we are at a minimum undoing wrongs. At the more proactive ways, the city needs housing. And so we are opening up opportunities for housing in phase 1, which has now occurred. It's in place on High Street. The previous code, it was estimated would allow for up to 6,000 housing units throughout the city. With the rezoning, it's 88,000. So a big goal of phase 1 was creating housing capacity. One example. Phase 2, we're seeing job centers, Tuttle Mall area, other parts of Columbus, developed in the 80s, auto-oriented, auto-focused. These places are now becoming emptied. They're not where office wants to be. One of our primary focuses is a zoning code that will result in a mixing of uses on these sites that will allow for residential to develop there, but also office, creating a kind of a mixed-use walkable environment. I could go on all day. Industrial uses, our current code references basket making for industrial uses. Truly, you can look it up in the code. It doesn't say a word about warehouse and storage, Amazon, that we're all, there's no guidelines, distance, signage, transparency, landscaping, standards that need to be brought up to date. And the last bit I mentioned earlier, is we've had 2 decades of plan recommendations that recommended new development that put the pedestrian, at least accommodated the pedestrian, a form of development, enhanced the pedestrian environment, also accommodates cars, but doesn't put cars first, puts cars equal with walkers and bicyclists. Our new code has those standards baked in. So we're basically modernizing the code in order to emphasize the priorities that we hear through our planning processes and that we know the city needs. So that's an extra, and hopefully that gets your question, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
To your question, to like a counterpoint to that is, so the zone-in process is to basically strip all of the old zoning structures that existed in the city, mostly done by advocates like in bodies like this, that will no longer have those kind of same advocacy avenues to determine what kind of structures go into place. So this is primarily being driven by the Columbus Partnership and the economic interests that run the city. Now that being said, we're a growing city and we do need to modernize, but the idea that we're gonna let just a couple corporate folks dictate our public policy is questionable at very least. So that would be the counter argument to that.
And I'm not gonna get into a long debate here, but I can tell you that I think that our staff maybe talked to the partnership as a stakeholder interview as opposed to hundreds of area commission meetings that we've done. This is not being driven by the partnership. We are not stripping away the basis for the code. I can't walk out of the room with that being said, and it's inaccurate.
I would like to add too, there is definitely a lot of opinions about what's going on with the zoning code. Objectively, the code was 70 years old, and I think you do make a lot of good points that it needs to be updated for a modern world. I can tell you, so I've been doing real estate development for about 12 years in the city of Columbus, and I have seen specific examples where small businesses or individuals want to do something with their property or build something, and they're hindered by the existing zoning code because it's confusing. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, and you have to spend money to hire a zoning attorney to come in and walk you through the process. Now, I think the City of Columbus planners have done a good job to really help residents and small businesses get through that process, but we see it every year here at the area commission level where there's residents who don't know how to get through the process to get a variance, and I don't know how much they're paying attorneys to come here and speak on their behalf, but I think the updates to the zoning code are really going to help with some of that.
I'd also like to point out that the entirety of South Clintonville is illegal under the current code bill. So
you couldn't build the neighborhood, which I enjoy also under today's code. We're up for debates. We'll get some things wrong. Everybody does. It's hard to do a code. One thing we're committed to is as we make mistakes, we'll work to rectify. We're not going to wait 70 years and redo the code again. So as we screw something up or what have you, or we debate, we have differences in opinion, there'll be differences in opinion, and we may or may not be able to work all of them out. We're not going to do it perfect. We understand. But there's nothing devious going on here. We're working to update a 70-year-old code that needed to be updated.
Sir, yeah.
No, I just wanted to, I'm the owner of Clintonville Books, and I just bought my building recently, a 100-year-old building, and I'm doing facade work on it. I'm also in the process of acquiring another retail building on High Street, looking at a third. So one of the things that I'm committed to with a few entrepreneurs locally is preserving the historic properties in Clintonville. So I came from New York City, have some resources, so I'm looking to preserve the neighborhood that I call home here. There's a lot of California money coming in to our neighborhood, trying to get into our neighborhood that I've been actively fighting against. Also from a development standpoint, there's a couple of developments I know that were in process that are now stalled simply because they don't pencil. The numbers just don't work, even with sort of the 5-story capacity right on High Street. So it seems just like a really, really kind of obviously fascinating time that I've never been to this meeting here before, but now that I'm a stakeholder, I'm trying to better understand, how to preserve and keep that, because there's been 2 properties recently purchased by California investment groups, ran the spreadsheets, bought the building, didn't even look at it. That's coming, it's being very aggressive, and I think it's a big threat to the character of our neighborhood.
Stay in touch if you will. We're happy to meet and talk about different things. Again, there's going to be outcomes that some of us may not love, but it's tricky business. One thing that I've learned over time is the growth is here. The growth is going to continue. We will not stop the growth. The growth will happen. So we're trying to have a code that will guide the growth in a way that's most productive to the neighborhood, that will support small businesses, because we need density on these corridors in order to create foot traffic. We can't do everything and get everything right every time, but pedestrian orientation, support for small businesses is a real hopeful outcome for us. And as you see things and you have concerns or you have insight, give us a holler. Zoning update at columbus.gov or Zoning Columbus. You can tune in.
The California developers, the things that the numbers don't pencil right now, and so it's a real opportunity in terms of acquisition, because they're looking at it and it just doesn't quite line up, even if they build 60 units with the new zoning, because that's why they're looking at it. But yeah, I think it's a limited window of opportunity, really.
Thanks. Yes, ma'am.
I know that in Worthington, if you're going to make any kind of change, there needs to be, you put a blue sign out in front and there's going to be a meeting with regards to this building. Can anything be changed? Do we have anything like that for the Clintonville area?
We are now posting. The city will post when there is a rezoning action on the property. And I'm thinking we do those postings, and I think within a given distance. And you can also sign up through the city's development tracker to receive email notification about activities, both those that require rezoning action or just those where there's a permit being sought. So I'd encourage folks to sign up for that.
That's a great website.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
At the training, whoever said that we should anticipate the draft new zoning code in May, and then that should come to the area commissions for input. So that would be like the June meeting. We should schedule time then for input on the new code.
That's the plan. It's tentative. We're pushing the consulting right now to have something and shoot for sort of a May. It could be May, June, but yes, when it's ready, you'll receive an email and a survey. As soon as we can get it out, and that's a perfect time to then have a however you want to talk about it, get together. We'll be looking to do that.
And then just to follow up, also at the training, it was mentioned that, probably going to say this all wrong, but this new code is going to replace the area plans.
The growth strategy, yes. The land use element of the growth strategy, there's a Columbus land use plan. As it comes into place, this is the planning effort we mentioned, it will supersede existing land use recommendations. Elements of your Clintonville plan that address non-land use related matters stay in place and to be utilized as they serve. But land use elements for all of our area plans, when we're done, when we finished all phases, there should be one citywide land use plan, and then we are intent at that point to keep it up to date. We have yet to determine, but we're hoping every couple of years where there'll be ongoing engagement with communities to change it as necessary, update it, and so forth. Yes.
Great. Any other questions for anyone? Thank you so much for coming to give us an update. We'll look forward to it in June.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Appreciate it. See y'all later.
Thanks. Okay. Next item is an update from City of Columbus Blueprint regarding the upcoming lateral lining project.
I
I've got some slides. Is it easier for me to plug in, or would you like me to email them?
I'm not plugging in, I'm just remotely attached to that.
Oh, that's
What's that? Rotary? Rotary? Rotary.
Between Zoom and.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one.
Go ahead, I can work on finding that projector.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm a temporary chairperson. Okay, we had a meeting with the Rotary folks, and it was really a great discussion regarding traffic calming on High Street. One thing that came out of it, we found out that the city of Columbus had performed a traffic study on High Street and hasn't told anyone about it. And then they also apparently gave it on to ODOT, but we don't know what the results was. And we were going to hopefully receive a copy of that from Suzanne, but we have not received that yet. So it'll be interesting to see. I think everyone kind of is figuring that the traffic study says no speed reduction. That's kind of what our sense is, just the way this thing is shaking out, which is unfortunate. So, let me see. A lot of folks from Kiwanis, some people from the neighborhood were there, some people from the city. Topic, can you all see that? Topics were discussed were traffic study on North High Street. This is one we found out where there was a traffic study done, but we haven't seen it yet. Commissioner Morris talked about the high incidence of crashes, and we just saw that photo of that wreck in front of those businesses up there on the curb on High Street. We also talked about the 6 fatalities in Clintonville on various intersections. Some things have been done. There's now the, what's the correct term, the advanced walk signals, advanced pedestrian signals, on a lot of intersections, including the one right out here in front of the library. As a pedestrian in South Clintonville, I've noticed that a lot, and I've also noticed that cars get really antsy when their red light doesn't turn green. They really want to go, and they hesitate, don't understand why people are walking. We also had a discussion of different interventions to increase safety on North High, things like larger crosswalks, repainted crosswalks, all the typical design things that help reduce speed, because we can reduce the speed limit, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean speeds will be reduced. A discussion of accessibility of sidewalks and ADA parking. We talked about a shared parking agreement, which is some people have done that already. I know that there was a rezoning that came here last year where part of the deal of the rezoning was a shared parking agreement whereby a business that operates at night can park in the day. That's the hookah place. I know that that's happened in Granby Heights where there's a shared parking lot, and there's also municipal lots that are on the back side of businesses that are open to all, like that large parking lot behind Stars. That's the way an effort to get parking off the streets. I think this is a good quote. We do not have a parking problem, but a walking problem. Now, that's a little flippant, but not everyone can walk, and we understand that it's something we need to have immediate access to businesses, but a lot of it is just habit. And I know that's true for me, where I can easily walk to High Street from my house, but sometimes I just drive because I'm kind of lazy. And I'm really in the habit of driving. So we discussed different strategies towards the goal, surveys of concerned citizens, petition to the city, engaging other stakeholders, including CAMBA, CODA, PTA, churches, transit companies, all kinds of organizations that are interested in reducing car traffic speeds and increasing pedestrian safety. We had a discussion of a Slow Down Clintonville campaign with either bumper stickers or yard signs. Next steps, we'll continue to meet and discuss. Our next meeting is with Rotary. It is 8:30 a.m. Saturday, May 9th. We haven't found a place yet. We were going to go to Broadway, United Methodist Church on Broadway, but we had a fee to rent that space, so I think we were going to find something else. We're also voted on a quick demo project for a small city building. So that's kind of a wrap up of the Rotary meeting. Does anyone who's there have any other comments?
take another chair of the planning and development committee was there, and they're going to take up doing a survey among residents of Clintonville, assess the concerns that are among people. Use that to move the city towards making High Street and other streets in Clintonville.
We've had discussions here in this body for the amount of time I've been here for lowering speeds on High Street, Indianola, Henderson, Weber, all the 35-mile-an-hour streets. But it's really difficult, it seems, to do that. So, yeah.
Just after that meeting, had discussed with some neighbors in my district and some of the business owners, and broadly speaking, what was the feedback I got was we need to start enforcing the policies that are already on the books right now. That like most of these issues are not something where we have to construct new like big projects. We just need like a police officer to like come and like do the ticketing that needs to happen. I understand that the police are overstretched, but I think if we want that to happen, like it's just a public pressure campaign to get them to do their job, because it is the responsibility of the city to enforce their own policies.
And after that meeting, we revealed that the city of Columbus police has what, a 75% reduction in traffic enforcement since COVID. I mean, it's like really down. Like the amount of tickets that they're writing is just minuscule compared to what they did before COVID. So the enforcement is a big issue right now too. So. Yeah.
There's one more thing. Sign up for the Vision Zero email list.
Yes.
There was a newsletter that shows evidence that lowering the speed limit to 25 on the streets of Columbus has reduced the number of crashes by significant numbers. So the city itself recognizes that this is a strategy that works, even when there's no or little enforcement of these laws. So
I have a question. The study that was submitted to DPS and ODOT is how do we get some more transparency on that process, what they're reviewing?
You can make a public record request.
Okay, I think that might be a
I'd like to see
good
that.
last resort, but is there somebody from DPS who can come and explain to us what is going on?
I feel like they are going to come next month. That forwarded that email. It sounded like they were going to plan on coming this month, but never. I don't know where this is on. This has honestly been Suzanne's connect. So, and she is on vacation right now. So I will follow up with her. But I think that they plan on coming next month.
Okay, good. We would like an update also on the what's been happening with the Broadway Homepage Bike Trail crossing. I know this was some change.
Yeah.
This was some changes for.
Yeah.
Was a single change? I haven't been up there in a while, but traffic's slow right now anyway.
Anybody's got a good job with the construction on the eastbound side.
Yeah. Everything's back up right now, so.
What time is that Rotary meeting?
8:30 on May 9th. Location to be determined.
One of the things that also has been just discussed broadly with the Rotary Club, which I think is like a good starting point, is like how do we rebuild our like civic associations in the neighborhood? And so if people are interested in getting involved in the Rotary Club, feel free to chat with me after this or you know, other folks here. But we have to build the civil society that makes our like streets safe. So I also appreciate the like outside of like any kind of policy decision, we have to like rebuild our civic society in our neighborhoods.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to think of learning from what's already happened and then an idea about 311 and mass requests. I used to live on Brevoort at Indianola when it was 4 lanes of traffic before the conversion right to the turn lane and bike lanes. Do we know where that motivation came from? Was that resident led or was that the city deciding?
I think it was the city.
Are you talking about the Indianola Road Diet?
Yeah.
that's the city.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine the stretch of High Street benefiting from something very similar. And then the radar feedback sign, I think the one on Cook Road, I certainly slow down when it shows my speed. It'd be nice to know what the data is that's logging.
I think we had somebody earlier in the meeting, and the data shows that it actually increases speed.
Yep.
Especially, as we say, blame it on the young people, but maybe not the young people, the people see how hard they can go.
Trying to hit a high score.
That was my question then of, like a coordinated 311 requests is how to, per the city, get those radar feedback signs, but if they're going the wrong direction, that spoils that idea.
I think 311 is always a good idea. The more 311s, the better. But the speed radar apparently doesn't work.
I just think this Vision Zero has so much confidence in their pedestrian facilities that when they put up a video on it, their employees had to wear high-vis clothing. It's across the street. And I think if the city wants to, it's called be safe, maybe don't show if their people don't feel safe without high-vis clothing in their facilities.
Or they don't have orange floors.
I did troll them on social media.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just saying, I mean, Vision Zero started to work more with the school district. And the school district, we're having safety week. So that's on the school district's radar. So I do business partnership with the school district and I'm on that committee. So that would be something that we may want to talk about because our efforts is to get a safer and more people writing CODA. So we're having meetings with CODA. So you can always add me or to that meeting. And then even Vision Zero, they do have grants and stuff. And some money that they might be able to help with that. But they are trying to make a concerted effort because we've had a couple meetings with trying to make new campaigns and stuff. So we'll need neighborhoods help with that with our students and our families to get them, especially to write more CODA or walking to school instead of driving to school because as we know, parent pickup line is super long. And, but Vision Zero is kind of stepping it up with doing stuff. So Swig is with Vision Zero, and if you need her information, she's really trying to get out into the neighborhoods now and talk with committees and stuff. And I'll give you my card because we're doing a campaign with this with the school. So we have Safety Week, April 20th. We haven't had it, I think, since COVID. So it's nice the communities, but the school district's also working on it too. So we might need to combine our efforts.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to the blueprint. And I'm trying to.
I think I'm going to take over here in just a second. If this, either that or we're going to broadcast somewhere else in the library completely. Everybody's going to be very, very confused. There we go. Wonderful. Let's just get this. All right. Perfect. I love when things work. It usually doesn't. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Cameron Keir with Blueprint Columbus. Here tonight to provide an update to you on what we're calling our Clintonville 2 project area, our mainline sanitary and sanitary lateral lining project. Different from some of our other projects, and I'll show that in just a few minutes. This project is specifically to key streets in Clintonville where additional work is occurring, and we need to add some blueprint services to that. I want to introduce our team. Tiffany Kahn's in the back. She's the outreach manager for Columbus Water and Power. Elias Ingram next to her, the CEO of DD Policy Works, and Stephanie Wycamp back there as well with Rayma, sporting one of our lovely blueprint shirts. And you will see their faces a lot and the rest of our team as we get out and get ahead of our public meeting. So again, I want to just kind of emphasize why we're here tonight. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with Blueprint. We've been in Clintonville since the beginning of our program in 2015. But we do have the limited scope mainline and sanitary lateral lining program beginning later this month. Residents will see construction impacts, so I do want to make sure we're outlining what we can expect and how that's going to look. Our outreach team will be out, and they'll be out and about, library, at community events, and knocking on doors. As much as we all hate it these days when somebody knocks on the door, we really are here to help and assist and not sell you a solar panel or try to tell you that your roof blew off during the storm when it most certainly did not, if it's anything like my neighborhood. I also do want to highlight that we have our public meeting and open house invitation, and that's coming up on the 23rd. We're going to be over at Whetstone High School serving some food, and doors open at 5:30. Our presentation begins at 6, followed by our open house. We'll have our engineers there. So if you are, or one of your neighbors is on one of these streets that we'll talk about, definitely a good chance to
Is
show
that
up
on the
there.
auditorium into the building?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure. We're still finalizing the exact plan. I believe.
Yes.
Yes, Stephanie says yes, okay. Auditorium in the building.
We're coming outside.
Yeah, we try, yeah, exactly. We want that to make sure that we've got plenty of parking and access in and out. So just kind of wanted to quickly go over Blueprint again for anybody who may not be as familiar or maybe a little bit newer to the Clintonville area. A problem that we see in Columbus is rainwater. Unlike, except I guess last summer when we had a huge drought and everybody's grass turned brown. But when rainwater gets into our sanitary sewer system, our sewers overflow into our rivers and streams, and we can potentially see basement backups. Additionally, the pollutants that are on our streets flow into those rivers and streams and create a problem. This is one of my favorite videos to show because this really outlines the key problem we see in older neighborhoods like Clintonville. So, well, if the video wants to be nice to me today and play, which doesn't look like it does, it would zoom in on this pipe here. But what you see with the pipe, this is your sanitary lateral, this pipe here that connects your home to the sewer main line. So this is primarily the work that we are talking about as we come into Clintonville here with this project. The water here is water intrusion, roots, ground pressure, age. Some of these pipes have been in the ground since the 1920s, 1930s. Very old system in need of some TLC, and so we're gonna make sure that happens. What happens is that the pipes will crack, and I think the one thing that I was surprised even to learn in joining this project is that the rainwater coming in is actually what's causing a lot of the flooding going back and going out. So Clintonville is home to, I believe, 3 or 4 of Columbus Water and Power's designated relief sites. Believe it or not, way back when, our engineers were smart enough to think what was going to happen decades in the future. And that answer was that they wanted to make sure that there was a relief on the system so that all the water would not go back. If you have experienced a basement backup, a sanitary backup in your basement, you know it right away. It's very unfortunate. I apologize that you had to go through that. Very smelly, very not fun to clean up. But if we didn't have the outlet, the outflow sites, that could happen in every single basement. Our goal is to make sure that we can seal these pipes so that that doesn't happen again. And that brings us to the Blueprint solution of things. So moving on really quick, just want to touch on this. Blueprint was formed in 2015 as the alternative, submitted and approved to the Ohio EPA. We primarily are formed to address the 2002 Sanitary Sewer Overflow, or SSO, a lot of words, I know, consent order. That is the very nice way of saying the Ohio EPA was very, very mad at us because we were dumping poop into the river and we didn't knock it off. What that did is it outlined our project areas. So that's why we have the odd polygons that stretch around Clintonville and Linden, 5th by Northwest, Hilltop, James Livingston area to the east side. Every sewer in these areas is known to have been modeled to contribute to these issues. This is separate from the tunnel work you see. If you go downtown towards Ohio State, we've got the lower Olentangy Tunnel coming online. That's adding capacity to our combined sewer system. So just a little bit older than the Clintonville neighborhood into the core of Columbus through Ohio State, portions of Franklinton, portions of German Village, we still have a combined sewer system. The only difference with that is because there's one sewer system instead of 2 like we have up here, all the water must be treated, so we're adding capacity in those areas. The other thing I always like to note and point out, and this does get some confusion because we do approach the community and we want to know where we're seeing flooding. We want to know where we're seeing flooding so we can know where we can install green infrastructure to capture and treat the water and do a limited amount of control. But Blueprint, believe it or not, is not a flooding mitigation program. Again, by design, we are set up to address the consent order. The happiest accident possible, if you will, the best outcome that we get, coincidentally, is that when we are controlling the water, we do get to reduce some of that nuisance flooding. But it will not be all flooding that will go away. So our goal is to have the innovative green solution that not only invests in the existing infrastructure, but we're using local materials, we're creating local opportunities, and we're improving the neighborhoods, all while we address the consent order requirements. This is a quick look at our 4 pillars. This is kind of our bread and butter of Blueprint, and you can see how it's broken down into our 2 distinct goals. So when I look on this side, the goal of reducing that sanitary sewer overflow is met with 3 very popular pillars here in Clintonville. First is our lateral lining. This is where we seal the aging pipes. That's what I was just talking about with the cracks in the pipes there. In this case, we're also doing that in the mains. Our second is our sump pumps. The sump pump program has been very, very popular in this neighborhood. We continue to offer that in our Clintonville 2 and Clintonville 3 neighborhood areas. If you do not have a sump pump, if you do not have a working sump pump, we will install one for you. Taking advantage of these services through the city of Columbus that are offered at no additional cost to you, as a homeowner, you're probably saving $15,000 to $17,000. Yes. Huge, huge benefit. That is also $15,000 to $17,000 that you can take right to the auditor's office and say, hey, look, my property value is increasing because I'm making this improvement. The last one, which we're doing on a limited scale now, is the roof water redirection. Exact same idea. We want to get that water, like with a sump pump, away from the foundation of the home so it can't get into that cracked lateral. We're doing this in a limited scope now because we want to make sure we're thinking and controlling where all the water is going to go. So that's directly due to the reduction of the sanitary sewer overflows. The EPA also says we have to clean the water, and that's what we're doing through the green infrastructure. This is coming a bit later to the Clintonville 2 neighborhood, obviously already established up north in Clintonville 1, and just about to go into construction just further south in Clintonville 3. So this is where the rain gardens are using the natural plants, treating and filtering the storm water. Since we're here speaking with the area commission, I just wanted to give a brief update of where things stand as far as Blueprint in Clintonville 2, and then I'll show you kind of Clintonville overall. We are starting lateral lining and the mainline lining this year in 2026 if you're on one of the select streets. If you're not on one of those select streets, bear with us, it'll be a few more years, but you'll start to see that in 2029. That's our first step. Step 1A is our sump pumps. We'll start those as soon as we've gotten going. Some of you, if you've been on the sign-up list and you're in Clintonville 2, you might have already gotten a phone call to schedule that inspection. Following that is the green infrastructure and the limited roof water redirection. But as you can see, you're not quite done with this yet. We'll be around till 2035. So have your questions ready and interactions ready, and you know we'll be here with you. So this is our overall look at Clintonville 2. Kind of where we are is right between surveying and preliminary design for our entire project area. Our green infrastructure, our pervious pavement, if we're going to see any of those in this neighborhood, and the remainder of our lateral lining and roof water redirection programs. So what I do want to highlight here, and I think this is, I'm really happy that we are able to provide as much outreach as we have here. And this is something that we really take to heart with Blueprint and other programs at Water and Power. Each one of the things listed here on the bottom is our overall outreach plan. That is a touch point that you as a resident will see, hear, or receive from us in the mail. Lovingly, I want you to be sick of me by the time construction wraps up and the warranty period wraps up and everything is back in control of the city completely, because we don't go away. We want to answer the questions. We want to talk you through things. I've been in a lot of neighborhoods up this way, chatting with folks about potential rain garden locations and tree placements and everything that we can do to try to make things as smooth as possible. So just want to look at that. My last reminder on sump pumps, blueprintneighborhoods.com. Our sump pump tab is where you can sign up. It will give you information about some of the qualifications that we ask when we look to put the sump pump in, or give us a call, leave us a message. It really is, Stephanie and I answered that phone from Clintonville, so it's not scary. It's one of us. Leave us a message, we'll call you back. So let me get into this just a little bit deeper and touch on exactly what we're going to expect here in the next year or so in the Clintonville 2 project area. This is the blue boxes are outlining the Clintonville 2 project area. This is Clintonville 1. Further south here would be Clintonville 3. So this is a look at where we are. These red lines here, Beechwald, Royal Forest, Jeffrey Morse on this side, Rathborn, Leland, the Graceland Plaza, Fenway above that. These streets are where we are doing the limited scope mainline lining, and in connection to that, lining the individual sanitary laterals. These streets and these streets only. So if you're on this side of Weisheimer, while this side of Weisheimer had that happen a few years ago, you'll be waiting just a little bit, again, just a little bit longer. The reason for this, and you look at this and you say, okay, well, what did they do? Did they just get together and throw lines at the map and say, we're going to start here? Or, did the engineers decide to play an April Fool's joke on us? Not so much. These are sections of main line that have not been rehabilitated yet. This mainline lining process happens ahead of every blueprint program. It just so happens in this case that these specific areas were not rehabilitated yet. They need to be rehabilitated ahead of the project area. And when we went to scope that out, the best way to do that was to also line the laterals with those veins. So here's a look at the lateral lining process. It's really awesome. We've got some videos out of it. We're going to make more because it's hard to understand when you can't see what's going on underground. But what our crews do is go in from the manhole in a two-step process. And this process is the same for main line and lateral lining. The only difference is the size of the pipe and what it connects to. Basically, we go through first with a camera and a giant roto-rooter, and I want to clean out all the dirt, the debris, the tree roots, everything that is stuck in that pipe. I pull that back out, they have the camera to inspect, and they say, okay, this one looks pretty good. Then we go in with the liner, and it goes in. If you've seen a flat fire hose in the back of a fire truck, that is exactly what this looks like. It's a very thin material to begin with, and with air and heat, it is cured. It is lined with a resin and cured. It sits inside of the existing pipe. By doing that, we have rehabilitated the pipe without taking it out of the ground, created a new lasting, for decades, generations perhaps, of a liner that will stay in place. So here is another cutaway showing the sewer main. Again, bigger pipe, same process, same stuff we want to get out. Now, the one thing about Clintonville 2 in this project area, and we had this on the east side as well, but is a little bit different, is that on a lot of the streets mentioned, the sanitary sewer line runs through a utility easement behind many homes in either your backyard or the alley immediately following your home. So as you begin to think about this, if you live in that Clintonville 2 area, if you have a manhole in your backyard or in the alley, and this is the only time I can say this on a project unless I'm paving a major street, right? If you have a manhole, there is a 100% chance that you will see a construction impact from this project simply because we have to access them to either run the liner through, pick up the air on the other side, or guide the liner through as it moves. So if you have a manhole and you're in Clintonville 2, 100% chance if you're on one of those streets of an impact. This is kind of a bit of a better idea of the utility easement area. It's going to be legally defined in that property deed that everybody reads every single comma of when you sign that massive stack of paper that they throw in front of you when you buy the house. And you remember it for decades, I'm sure. You all know exactly where it is. You've all been great about this. Nobody's disturbed it. It's exactly where it should be 1,000% of the time, right? I'm going to say probably not. Because we've seen it. You have your backyard, you've had your backyard for years, and you forget about it. And the kids want a swing set, and that goes there, or maybe a low fence goes back that way. Maybe you've got a shed, maybe you've got a sandbox, something else within that easement. If you're starting to think, these streets sound familiar to me, wow, my shed is back in that area, I've developed the prettiest rose garden I've ever seen. We want to know those impacts, and we will be looking for those, especially at the public meeting that we're hosting coming up in April. The reason for that is we want to try to work around as many of these obstacles as we possibly can. But I promise, there will be one. There will be a shed, there will be the prettiest oak tree that you've ever seen that has grown over the manhole cover, and it's sitting there because we have seen pieces of that in other areas. If your shed is not permanently to the ground and can be lifted up, we will lift that, we will move that to conduct our work, and we will place it back in our restoration process. If you have a fence that goes back to the easement, just like mine did in my former backyard, guarantee that thing was sitting right on top of an AEP line, I know it, and it was metal. We will lift that fence up, we will conduct our work. All the law says is we have to lift it up and conduct the work. We want to do things differently, and we want to make sure we put it back. But if we put it back legally as the city of Columbus, we have to put it back on the line of the right of way. So you may lose a bit of that acreage frontage back there, however you want to think about it, but your fence is now going to be up to code. Who knows why it happened? You probably bought the house, the fence was that way, you may not even know it, but that, when we move a fence legally, we have to put it back outside of the right of way or outside of the utility easement. So start thinking in the back of your mind, if you have those type of impacts, we will want to know about those. Quick overview, and these will be discussed much more in detail at the meeting when our engineers are there. I just want to show the pictures to kind of show you what kind of equipment you may expect. You may hear from your neighbors about them, maybe calling you and asking you, why is there this in the road? Why is there this type of machine running around? This right here is the jetter truck. This right here is the vac truck. They'll work together to clean and provide air supply for them to conduct the lining process. Here's a picture underground of what that's going to look like. The one thing we may encounter, and this is probably the most invasive portion of the program, is if we have to conduct what we call a point repair. So when we go through and clean and televise, if we have to conduct a point repair, that means we have a collapse in the main, a collapse in a pipe. If that's on the residential side, on your lateral side, we'll give you a notice, we'll give you a time to let you know if you'd like to fix that and continue with the lateral lining program. But the cost of fixing that, if it's on the lateral side, on the individual property side, no, you said?
It's not always true. So there's
Sometimes.
Yeah, there's a limit in scope of what the project can do as far as if it's underneath the pavement in the street. We're not going to be able to pay $20,000, $30,000 for one person's lateral. Doesn't make sense. It's not equal. But a small point repair in the grass, is usually doable. But they still will hang a notification and say, "Hey, we have an issue. Let's talk about it. What that means."
The issue found door hanger looks a little scary, but really it's about giving you all the information. On the main side, yes, sir.
How common are 2-point repairs? Is this a fine print just so we said it out loud, or is this frequency?
It can be both. Pipes are old. If I were able to know exactly how many there would be, we would have a whole lot of easier issue because I would be able to look at the list and say, on Wednesday it's going to break on High Street. Okay, everybody, let's go and get ready for it.
Any sense of frequency in the areas of Clintonville already done?
It's a great question that we can look up. So we've done a lot of lateral lining.
It really is.
Low one, but we can email you and let you know better.
It's, when we do these, we have monthly meetings and point repairs come up. I don't think there's been a point yet where I've said, wow, that is a ton that we've seen in this particular week. But they can't happen. With the mains, it's a bit more of a large issue because the main is such a large connector. We have to go in and fix those right away. So that's where you can see some of the larger impact. One of our engineers drew this map as well, just to kind of show, if you think if this were your area and this were where the point repair was, we would be knocking on several doors and asking, we're going to need to move something through here. We're going to put boards down. We're going to do this. We're going to let you know when it's going to happen. All that kind of stuff, so that everybody is prepared. So that goes from there. So the next phase, again, is the pipe cleaning and lining. What I want to mention about this, again, without going into too much detail, kind of the do's and don'ts of what you'll be asked for and prepared for. If you're on one of these streets and they've cleaned and televised and it's time to do the line work, you'll receive a 5-day notice. You'll receive a 48-hour notice to to remind you of what to expect. We suggest pouring some water into those P-traps in the drains. That helps prevent any odor from coming back up into the house, because remember, we're going to dry everything out. So you may have a sewer odor, you may have an odor as they're conducting the work. You are allowed to use the sink for cooking. That little amount of water is just fine. We don't want you to flush or shower or wash clothes during the lining process, and we also suggest having those toilet seats closed just in case any air comes up. Definitely do not flush when they're lining. I will leave it at that. But if any science minds are in here, you've got air coming this way and you've got something going that way, and I guarantee you which one's going to win. It's not the one that you want. But again, this is only about a one-day process. We try to do a majority of this work during the workday when most folks are out of the home. So just another quick overview of kind of what you can see. This is a good cutaway shot. Looking at the backyard of a home where this might be, you might see a cleaning truck, you might see another manhole of just the liner coming through, and you might see a vent placed in the yard, in the alley, everything like that. If you park in the alley, or they may have to park a truck to block your garage for an hour or so, they will notify you, they'll let you know so that you can get out and get to work, get your errands done, whatever you have to do. We certainly don't want to trap anybody in any homes. The last phase of our process is any manhole rehabilitation. So if we go through and we're like, boy, there should be a manhole here, but we can't find it at all, but we can get it on a scanner, we will go through and lift that back up so we know we can have access to it moving forward for whatever we need. A lot of folks ask a lot of questions about restoration. Yes, we will restore everything to as good of a point, if not better than it was before we arrive. Is it an immediate process? Obviously not. I can't grow grass in February. I've had some questions from project areas. I wish I had a magic grass seed to grow it in February, because I would use it myself, and I have the greenest lawn on the block, and I would never tell anybody what to do. But we are willing to come through multiple times. If we have an issue, it's just one of those tough areas to grow grass, we'll come back and put some more seed down. We'll work with you so that you know what to expect. So again, outreach. Every single phase of our process, you'll be getting door hangers, you'll be getting invitations to our meeting if you haven't already. If you're in the project area, our contractors will be there to let you know what to expect. They'll leave their phone numbers. You'll see them on the street and know exactly what's going on. So my asks tonight are fairly simple, and commissioners especially, if you can help us spread this message as well, please engage with our outreach team. They'll be out. They will be there to answer your questions. We would love for folks to answer the door and get the information firsthand. Encourage folks, if they're in the project area. This will be a very specific public meeting on the main line and the lateral lining, but please do ask them to attend that meeting. When the work happens, please allow us easy access to those backyards, secure those pets. The dog may be the friendliest thing in the world to you, but they know you every single day. The second I come and open that fence, it can be a totally different story. So please secure them, help us out with that. If not, we're going to come knocking on the door. We're going to come asking, calling you wherever you might be to get that. Unlock any gates you have. Allow us to access that easement. That's the easiest thing you can do. I know it's part of that backyard and we've been taking care of it forever, but please allow us to access that easement. And respond if we leave you a letter or a door hanger that lets you know something's wrong back there. That's where it's at. So again, my reminders, we're going to be impacting backyards and alleys with this project. If you have a manhole back there and you're on one of these streets, that's a guaranteed impact. Lateral lining is a certain situation, but we have to access those mains. There is no way that we cannot access the main. This is in a defined easement. We have to be able to get back there and do it, so please help us with that. That concludes what we have. I'm sure there are questions. I'm happy to answer them now. If you think of them later, Blueprint Columbus, blueprintneighborhoods.com, blueprint@columbus.gov is our main email address as well.
Great. Thank you very much. Do commissioners have questions? Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for that presentation and the work that you guys are doing. It is critical for our local infrastructure. So as the few people from the public who are here know, I've got a lot of criticism of the city. This is not one. This is a deep investment in our infrastructure in ways that like needs to happen and needs to happen now. So I appreciate that work. I have 3 questions. So for most of this work, is this all done by private subcontractors or done by city employees?
Yes, so each of our project areas will have our city outreach team, which are city employees, an engineer who is a city project manager, and then we will contract with a construction inspection firm and a contractor that specializes in this work, that has the equipment, has the knowledge, and has done this in various places. Oftentimes, and this is all out there on our pages to know exactly who the contractors are. It's the same folks that have done several areas. It helps us to, we know, so-and-so does things this way, this person uses that clean out. It really helps us to message ahead of what they're going to do.
Thank you. Second question related to the sub pumps. This is more of a point, but if you are like someone or know someone who does not have a sub pump, I mean, it is a $15,000 investment, a private investment that the city is willing to pay for. So I would highly encourage, if you know anyone who doesn't have a sub pump and needs one, get on that list. My understanding, it can take multiple years for it actually to occur. So like, do it now. But it's a free service that I think I would gladly wait 2 years for. So
the caveat, just to touch on one thing, is that Clintonville 1 area, our first project area to the north there, we have closed our list for that area, as it's been about a decade since actually exactly a decade now. We're in our 10th year, and there'll be more on that too, so stay tuned since we've started. Clintonville 2, Clintonville 3, still wide open, jump on the wait list. We have been making progress. Up to 12 months is what we're saying right now. I think it's probably even less than that. So,
thank you. And then the last question, this is kind of cursory, but you talked about the overflow that goes into our rivers. So in my district, District 3, the Wallow Ravine dumps sewage right into that creek. So when I'm walking down there, I get to watch kids playing in sewage. I don't stress out too much about it because I did it as a kid and I turned out mostly okay. But it's a serious safety concern to just having open sewage dumped into an environment that kids play in on a regular basis. And so wanted to see if the city has any plans to stop the sewage overflow that's going into a creek that kids play in.
There, I do not believe is an active overflow into the Wallow Ravine.
My
So
understanding is
Blueprint itself is designed to stop sanitary sewer overflows in this area. So that's what we want to do in general. That's our main goal. So in the implementation, obviously we haven't done all of Clintonville yet, but after all of Clintonville is done, you should see a drastic decrease of the number of activations of designated sewer relief, of that emptying into a body of water, and also basement backups. So it should go down.
Thank you.
There is an active stream restoration program as well in Wallow that is out for the bid closes next week, I believe. So we're very excited to get started on that.
I'm so sorry.
The Wallow stream restoration,
yes,
to restore those banks.
Yeah.
Is that is out for bid now. That should close next. I believe it closes next week, the 8th. So we should be seeing construction on that begin probably late summer, early fall.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed the tree headings.
I believe we've got all of them. I'm actually checking on one property because I think there may still be 1 or 2 miscellaneous standing. There was a limit to how large the trees had to mature. They had to be come down under our process. But yeah, I believe they cleared everything out. So we're very excited.
Any other commissioner questions? Public questions?
Can I get a rough estimate as to when you're going to start coming into thinking about lateral lining in Clintonville 3?
That should be very soon. Probably about 12 to 18 months from now. So the Clintonville 3 green infrastructure will begin, again, late summer, early fall, right about, probably even a bit before that. We're eyeing maybe July-ish for a public meeting in that area to kick that process off. About a year after the green infrastructure starts, year and a half, that lateral lining is usually with the exception here in Clintonville too, usually about the second step that we do, so that should be in there.
Have those streets that you're going to do been identified?
In Clintonville 3, it will be every street that will get the lateral line, and eventually Clintonville 2.
Okay.
The confusing thing about this is that we're rehabbing certain mains on certain streets in Clintonville 2.
Yeah.
Eventually, everyone will have the opportunity. Basically, by having the address, you are opted in. So there you go.
So I'm with Commissioner Platt. This is a great program.
Yes.
Are you also doing a stream restoration in Glen Echo?
There is a bid out, I'm not clear that it's Glen Echo, I can't remember the stream. But for the Clintonville 2 area.
This is
they
one.
have let that out.
This is Clintonville 1, right? Glen Echo.
So it's actually, it cuts off.
No, I'm
right
sorry,
before-
3.
Okay.
No, what? 1 is up north, right? Which one is which?
It's 3, so Clintonville 3, it's like right at the edge, so it's right
Right.
outside the boundary. I'll just say that our project has adopted stream restoration as a piece of our green infrastructure toolbox. And in many cases, they are looking at lots of places to do stream restoration. I do not know if Glen Echo is one of them. I can ask Fawn and see if that's on their list. I know that there's one somewhere north in Clintonville too, and then there's Hollow. I don't know about Glen
Listen.
Oh, is this in fact a continuation, or is this the child of the I&I restoration that was started in the 1980s? It was inflow and infiltration. It was when we found out that the cemetery was running into the storm, and that's when all this started. So this is in all actuality for us old timers, has been going on for 40 years, and it's good to see progress. Don't talk about it, don't study it, don't draw pictures, don't have meetings, get the job done. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that design process will catch you every time when you think about all the steps and bits and pieces that goes into that. But we're very happy to really get going. It's, sometimes it takes a lot, and sometimes it takes a bit for the EPA to also recognize and approve, and so many layers. So many layers. Our regulatory compliance folks are very busy at Water and Power, just making sure that we're getting everything done, lining up.
Okay.
Thank you for continuing to mention the sump pump program. What about backflow prevention, Hartway?
So there is a program called Project Dry Basement. That is a cousin of ours housed out of our Division of Water Reclamation. They will offer a backflow prevention valve if it is found that the backflow is the cause of a city-side sanitary sewer concern. What I mean by that, they will come out. You have to call them within 24 hours of a heavy rain event. They will come out, they will look at the sewer, they'll be like, yep, the city side backed up, that's what caused this, and they will approve the backflow prevention valve installation. If it's found that it's in the individual customer lateral, that gets a bit tricky because that does kind of fall under general homeownership that you're supposed to be cleaning those out. Honestly, what I've heard a lot of folks say is if you get the sump through Blueprint and the lateral's lined, I'll never need a backflow prevention valve because we're going to seal that system off. The activations on those fall drastically.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
We need to go on to our zoning thing.
Get your computer back in here.
Okay, Chair Hardwick.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
we do have one thing to add to the end of this. I don't think this is going to be that hard. The first item on the agenda is at Whetstone High School. They want a variance for GC 26011. So I guess it's the graphics code allows them to put up one 16-foot square banner for up to 30 days. They want to put up, they've received a grant from the city to put up 4 that helps pays for 4
It helps to pay for it.
Helps pay for 4 banners in all high schools. The catch is that the city requires them to get variances because the graphics code tends not to allow that. So they're asking the variance from 3375.15. They told you what it does allow. They want to put up these 4 banners and just leave them up. The variance they explained to us at the committee meeting allows them to replace these banners with similar banners, similarly designed banners, but if they want to come up with some new design, they would have to go back through the process. But if they want to honor their volleyball team, instead of the We Are Whetstone, they can put up a volleyball team banner and replace it for it. We thought there's some questions from the public just about maintenance. They do have to maintain them. They will be on metal poles, if I remember right. The vote was unanimous because, quite frankly, my guess is tons of schools are already out of compliance with this.
Yes.
With this. The city's only enforcing at least now on their own projects. So 7-0 recommending 4.
Do commissioners have any questions? Do the public have any questions? Are we ready to vote?
I heard that the library.
Got a half hour.
At 9 o'clock.
Yes. Do I have a motion to vote on it?
Motion.
Second?
All second, right.
All right, we'll go through typical vote. Commissioner Mortz?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Saucer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hyman?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Commissioner
Easy answer, yes.
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you.
Or 7-0.
We'll write a check back to the city.
Yes, I told people, the one time I told someone I didn't think they needed to come, massive opposition showed up, so I never told
The next item?
Normally this is handled in less formally, the Kanawha variance. Sometimes what happens is after the commission approves something, the city says, no, for this variance, we need something else. And then the question is, does that variance have to come back through? And normally the answer is no, unless it changes something that was already decided. One example was, I think it was on somewhere in Wylands, the commission approved the program, and then the city decided, well, there's this dumpster. The dumpster on your plan needs an additional variance that you didn't ask for. And I think it goes through the commission chair and says no, yes or no, needs to come back to us. And at that point, the answer is no, it doesn't need to come back to us because we all saw the dumpster there. No one complained about the dumpster there, so yes, they have the variance to keep the variance there. But and the Kanawha, they asked initially for a variance to allow them to alter their home in a way that's otherwise completely compliant with the law. After they went through the commission, someone at the city decided, no, that's not the variance we want you to get. We want you to have a variance that specifically says in an SR district, this is suburban residential, that you can put a home you can have a home occupation there. I checked, I don't know why they need it for this residential as opposed to any other residential, but I got this around my lunch hour today, and that's about all the time I had. I did talk to the applicant, and she said they are still bound by all the other home office rules. And the way I don't think a commission vote is needed. I think that if once the city contacts us, either Chair Bolton or Acting Chair Lotta could tell them, no, we don't need to see it again. But I since this came out the day of the commission meeting, I thought transparency is best. If people have any objections to that, the way I would suggest it is, as long as just confirm with the city that it is true that the home occupation restrictions apply, as long as they do, don't require them to go back through the variance process just to relabel what they got.
Okay. Does the commissioners have any questions?
I just have a comment. Chairman, I talked about this with me, and I actually not too familiar with that section of the code, but the way I understand it, the way I understood it the first time at the planning commission meeting is that home occupations were permitted in the SR district. But the project isn't changing, which is generally like you had outlined. Generally, we would rehear something if the project is changing some element. My understanding is that there's no changes to the project, so I have no issues with us not rehearing it.
So we don't, I would agree with that we don't need to rehear it again because nothing else is changing on the project other than just a paperwork issue.
Yes, yes, and so that, I just wanted to bring that up so that you could have, I think normally it's the commission chair's decision. I think I have some input in it, but it's ultimately the commission chair's decision whether it comes back. So when they contact us, I'll let them know that they should contact either you or, when is Chair Bolton coming back? Next month?
Yeah.
So contact you and you can speak on behalf of
And I can just say that we don't want to see it again.
Okay, that was, and I just thought we might, next time you address your bylaws, maybe it might be worth formalizing the process. That way there's never a question of not following the rules or not being transparent. But I think it's something worth thinking about to have a public process instead of rule. I like having rules to follow that because you have rules to follow, we follow them. It's harder for people to say that you're sneaking something through.
Well, appreciate you bringing it to our attention then. Okay, the next item is Our City campaign presentation with someone to tell us.
I don't see him in the audience. And I met him on Monday when I saw it was on the agenda. I'm happy to give a very brief update on what that is, but
yeah, I'd like to hear what it is.
So for folks who don't know, there have been area commissioners and community members from across the city who've come together to put a charter amendment on the ballot to make sure that we have free and fair elections. So there hasn't been competitive elections basically since the 80s in this city. And it's by design. The proposal that area commission leaders are putting forward, along with other community allies, is to keep our current districts, but you only vote for the person in your district. So it's not an at-large system in the same way that someone from Cincinnati doesn't get to vote who our mayor is. Someone in our neighborhood should be the person who is elected in our neighborhood. As someone who's in leadership in that organization, I will give some transparency about how the city has responded to that. So we've had meetings with Shannon Harden and also with Zach Klein, the city attorney. Shannon Harden's position is he will oppose this under all circumstances as he believes, quote unquote, that it would design a system in which there'd be a not in our backyard environment, which is really just code for we don't believe in democracy or that neighborhood should have any kind of say over what our neighborhood should look like. And so that's his position. He also communicated that he has met and is collaborating with the Columbus Partnership to bury the project. So they're going to spend millions of dollars to make sure that we continue not to have real elections. Zach Klein, more constructive conversations. They see that the writing is on the wall and that they can no longer create a system in which we don't have real democracy in the city. So they want a compromise position where there's some at large, some district representations. I think that's something for both the coalition and others to discuss. From my vantage point, it's going from a total monopoly to a functional monopoly. So we might, under some circumstance, still be able to get one or two advocates elected to city council, but the idea that capital and the people who run the city won't continue to run it, unlikely, from my vantage point. I'll say that there are going to be presentations at all the area commissions that are run by the coalition that will happen starting next month. Tonight, I was surprised to see it on the agenda, but since it was, I just wanted to share what happened.
Do commissioners have any questions?
Is there a website or anything that we go to give more information about?
Yeah, I think it's just ourcity.org. And it'll have the ballot initiative and language and how to get involved.
Any other commissioner questions?
Yes. So, in the progressive era, in the late 1800s, a lot of award systems went away because of the corruption in the power of the ward bosses. So how is this new idea gonna trump some of that corruption that used to occur historically?
Yeah, so I can speak directly to why we no longer have wards or districts. In 1912, a series of black candidates got elected for the first time ever, and then in some of the immigrant communities, mostly Italian and German, socialists got elected. And the city power structure at the time did not like that, and as a result, they created a all-at-large structure that led to us having no black representation for over 50 years. So it's a racist construct on where it's built. As far as corruption, I mean, like, you just have to look at like where they get their money from, right? So it's like, I don't know what's different from then to now. What I think this would offer us is to conceivably have potentially a Republican elected locally, and for the first time, maybe some progressive Democrats elected. But we can't have any of that if they're all pre-selected beforehand, which they, up until recently, were all just appointed. Since then, the Columbus Partnership gets in a meeting and they decide who is going to continue to advocate for their interests, and there we are. So I would say that any system that allows for actual neighborhoods to elect their own representatives is a step forward in democracy, and that we should no longer allow gerrymandering at the state level by Republicans, and we should not allow gerrymandering at the local level by right-wing Democrats.
Any other questions from commissioners? Or questions from the audience?
Sorry, I studied urban studies out of Chicago, so that was a very good question on that. And even on your website, I haven't been to it, but the pros and cons of how we don't go back to what we came from, and structures or things that could be in place to not go back to where we used to be, and having the where this is just my area versus how do you keep that looking at the whole picture and your area together, because coming from Chicago, that comes, but it's important because as the current election, the person who got the most votes in their area did not win that area, did not win to get on the board, but they came for the most votes. So that's to the most recent election, yes, that is true.
And I would just encourage everyone to look at where they get their campaign donations from, because the people who are elected get mostly Republican dollars to continue their policies at the local level, the same people who do it at the state level. And so I don't know, for me, it's like I'm looking back at Chicago from 100 years ago, I'm not sure it's relevant when it's corrupt now.
Right, but they have aldermen and stuff now, so that's where I think how do we not put in place something like that with this idea, right? Because the aldermen's, I mean, they created their own gerrymandering system within their neighborhoods too. Like this neighborhood becomes part of this, part of it, and stuff. And just some preventative measures on how to do that.
Excellent questions.
Yeah, just to comment, so I don't know exactly how I feel about this proposal. In the Netherlands, there are no districts. You just vote for parties. Well, I think one of the issues here is that there's a risk of a little NIMBYism. So a lot of the issues that concern our city transcend the districts, and a lot of the policies that the cities involved are citywide policies, and so I'm not sure how it will play out in terms of all the people were organizing the elections by districts. So another option would be to get rid of districts entirely and vote for people that want to run for city council.
Or maybe increase city council people so you have people who represent districts, and then have the equal amount of at-large candidates.
Next year.
Yes.
I think you have less risk of the corruption as long as you keep the districts as legislative districts and don't let them become some mayors for the district. That's where the corruption
Yes.
comes into place.
I would agree with that.
So if you have, yeah, just don't let it become a complete mini executives.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Well, that's the end of our agenda. Oh, public comment. Public comment. Are there any comments from the public?
I have a lot of comments, but I'm not gonna.
Yes, sir.
Comment and question, I guess, combined based on what you're saying. I like to think of myself as a concerned citizen, and yet when I hear all of you talking, I realize I'm uninformed about how the city works, how all this, how it all works together. So I would be interested in knowing, is there a resource for a citizen to go to understand, I think of Columbus as a blue city and a red state. That makes me feel comfortable. Hearing you talk, I'm wondering, should I be, and part of why I came here is that I think we're in a moment, and Clintonville is poised to me to be maybe a bellwether community for other communities that are wondering, how do we survive this moment? But I'm realizing now that I'm completely uninformed. So should I just continue coming to these meetings? I'll learn what I need to know over time. Is there a resource online? Is it a chat GPT thing? Tell me if you have ideas where to go to be a concerned citizen who's also adequately informed.
Gosh, I really know this is a resource.
Read the spotlight.
Yes.
Read the spotlight.
Thank you for the plug, Cindy.
There's a book called Boomtown Columbus if you want to find out how corrupt it's been since the beginning of time. And it's been corrupt since the beginning of time. And the only thing that truly makes a difference in government is grassroots. And the more people that come to this meeting used to be a standing room only meeting. This meeting used to go till 10, 11 o'clock at night before the library kicked us out. The clock would be turned over, put face down until the public had been heard. And also go to city council and listen to what they say. Read the legislation. They start putting the city bulletin in the online city bulletin. So you can read what the legislation is coming forward, or you can read yourself silly. You can sleep really well at night.
Yeah, getting involved in local organizations like you mentioned, the Rotary,
Exactly.
and local block watches, and just get to know people all around you. And
Block watch is an excellent way to get.
It's a way to get to know your neighbors.
Yeah.
Before COVID, the city had a thing for residents once a year, something where you could go to each of was it downtown high school one time where you could learn about the city and stuff, and that was really
Kind of a dog and pony show.
Yeah, but it was a good for me, for moving from Chicago to Columbus, it was a good introduction to see what departments there were, right? It was a pony and show, but it was a good just a baseline. This is where these are the things that you need to know as an owner, as where you could go and stuff like that. Those are some basic things too.
I was going to say, when I first moved to Clintonville, and maybe, I don't know if this is answering your question or not, because maybe there's two parts to your question about how the city works, the way that the city advertises it, and then how the city works. And the way I really learned was from old neighbors who lived in the city for a really long time. Just started talking to my neighbors, and I think the more people that you talk to that have lived here for a long time, you're going to hear different opinions, but you're also going to hear a lot of different experiences that people have been through. I think that's probably more the real story of how the city works.
And I'm still learning. So signing up for emails from the city council, going to all these public meetings, you get feedback, and you meet people from the city, people working for the city, and they're always eager to talk and answer questions. That's what I this particular passion project, and find other organizations that
As far as resources, I want to echo that like the spotlight, as far as like, what's going on in Clintonville, is like a beacon and something that we should continue to invest and make sure that it is like a vibrant part of our community, because so few neighborhoods have something like that. So thank you for being here and reporting on things. The other like publications that I think are useful in the city is Matters News. Covers a lot of the kind of like inside like ball game that occurs here. Columbus Underground a little bit, but Matters News is like probably more competent like journalists involved in that. And then I don't always agree with his style, but the Rooster, who covers both State House news from a progressive lens and also covers stuff that's going on in the city, is something that's on TikTok. He's a little abrasive, but like actually gets to like some positions that like the public would never know about unless he asks those questions.
But do you have to say our neighborhood liaison? Like, the neighborhood liaisons are really incredible. They answer a ton of questions, and they are like, I think, key to the city. I lean on them a lot.
Yes, and even though we work for the city, we're the advocates for the neighborhood. We're the advocates for an area commission. We will give it to you straight.
Because
you may not like the answer, but we will tell you exactly what's going on. So you have my information.
Great, we gotta clean up because the library's closing, so thank you everybody.